You have been taught, somewhere along the way, that wonder and knowledge are enemies, that mystery is beautiful precisely because it remains unsolved, that once you understand how something works, once you know the mechanism, the equation, the cause, the magic drains out of it, that a rainbow explained is a rainbow ruined. That the moon, once you know it is just a ball of rock reflecting sunlight, becomes a little less enchanting than it was when you believed, as a child, that it might be something else. This idea feels intuitive. It feels almost obviously true. And it is, according to one of the most careful thinkers who ever lived, completely and devastatingly wrong. Carl Sagan spent his entire life arguing the opposite. He believed that understanding does not kill wonder. It is the only thing that can produce wonder in its fullest, deepest, most overwhelming form. He believed that the people who think science strips the beauty from the world have simply never understood enough to see what was actually there. Today, we are going to find out who was right. There is a famous accusation against science, one that has been repeated by poets and mystics and philosophers for centuries. The accusation goes something like this: science takes the living, breathing, magical world and reduces it to numbers. It takes a sunset, something that moves you, something that makes you feel small and grateful and alive, and replaces it with a description of wavelengths and atmospheric scattering. It takes love and reduces it to neurochemistry. It takes a flower and reduces it to cellular biology. In trying to explain everything, science explains away the very thing that made those things worth experiencing. John Keats, the English poet, accused Isaac Newton of destroying the rainbow by explaining it. Once you know that a rainbow is simply sunlight refracted through water droplets at specific angles, the argument goes, you can never see it as magic again. You have traded mystery for mechanism, and something has been lost in that trade. This complaint has real emotional force. Most people have felt some version of it. The first time you learn how a magic trick works, something does change. The wonder you felt watching it becomes, in retrospect, a kind of naivety. Understanding the mechanism seems to flatten the experience. Sagan heard this complaint his entire career, and he had an answer that he considered one of the most important things he ever said. Sagan's response was not to dismiss the poets. It was to insist that they had not gone far enough. He argued that the rainbow, once you understand it, is not less beautiful. It is more beautiful, and beautiful in a way that requires understanding to access it all. Consider what you actually learn when you understand a rainbow. You learn that white light, the light that seems so plain, so simple, so colorless, is secretly composed of every color simultaneously, hidden inside what looks like nothing. You learn that water, the most common substance on the surface of our planet, has a hidden geometric property that can take that secret rainbow inside white light and reveal it, bending each color by a slightly different amount based on its wavelength, painting the sky with the truth that was always there, invisible, waiting for the right conditions to be revealed. You learn that the rainbow you see is not even in a fixed location in the sky. It is different for every observer, a personal optical phenomenon created by the specific geometric relationship between your eyes, the sun, and the raindrops. No two people have ever seen exactly the same rainbow. Each one is a private universe, created freshly for each observer and gone the moment you move. Is that less magical than believing a rainbow is just a pretty arc of color with no explanation? Sagan would say it is almost incomprehensibly more magical. The poet's rainbow is pretty. The physicist's rainbow is a window into the secret structure of light itself, a phenomenon that reveals something true and strange and previously hidden about the nature of reality. The poet sees a rainbow. The scientist sees a rainbow and the rules of an entire universe written briefly across the sky. nothing has been lost by understanding it. Something enormous has been gained. This is the core of Sagan's philosophy, and it extends far beyond rainbows. He believed that science does not replace wonder with explanation. It reveals wonder that was always there, hidden beneath the surface of ordinary appearances, invisible until you developed the tools and the knowledge to see it. Take something as simple as a single breath. Without science, a breath is just air going in and out. With science, a breath becomes something extraordinary. Oxygen molecules that were produced by photosynthesis, traveling through your lungs into capillaries thinner than a hair, binding to hemoglobin molecules shaped with such precision that a single mutation can mean the difference between life and death, carried through 60,000 miles of blood vessels to nourish trillions of cells, each one running biochemical processes of staggering complexity, all of it happening automatically, unconsciously, right now, while you read these words. The breath does not become boring once you understand it. It becomes almost unbearably extraordinary. You start to notice that you are, at every moment, the site of an almost incomprehensible amount of organized complexity, all of it working in concert to produce the simple experience of being alive. Sagan called this aspect of his worldview the value of science as a way of knowing. He believed that the deepest, most reliable, most awe-inducing way to experience the universe is to actually understand how it works, because the mechanisms themselves, once revealed, are more astonishing than any myth or mystery we could have invented to explain them in their absence. Ignorance does not preserve wonder, it merely postpones the discovery of how much more wonderful reality actually is. Sagan made an important distinction that is easy to miss. He was not arguing that mystery itself is bad, or that unanswered questions are somehow inferior to answered ones. He spent a significant part of his career studying exactly the questions science had not yet answered: the search for extraterrestrial life, the origins of consciousness, the ultimate fate of the universe. What he objected to was something different: the substitution of comforting fictions for the harder, stranger, more demanding work of actually finding out. He believed that humans have an evolved tendency to fill the unknown with stories, gods, spirits, ancient astronauts, conspiracies, because uncertainty is uncomfortable and stories provide relief. But he argued that this relief comes at a terrible cost. It trades the genuine, evidence-based wonder available to us for a cheaper, manufactured version that collapses the moment it is examined closely. A ghost story is interesting until you ask for evidence. A creation myth is moving until you compare it against what we have actually learned about the origins of stars and planets and life. These stories offer wonder, but it is a fragile wonder, built to be unquestioned rather than investigated. The wonder that science offers is different. It does not collapse under scrutiny, it deepens. Every question you ask leads to an answer that contains 10 new questions, each one more interesting than the last. You can investigate it for a lifetime and never reach the bottom, because as far as we can tell, there may not be a bottom. The universe seems to be inexhaustibly interesting, layer after layer, mystery after mystery, each one solved, revealing two more. This is the kind of wonder that grows the more you understand. The fictional kind shrinks. Sagan wrote a book called The Demon-Haunted World, in which he made one of his most passionate arguments. He warned that a society that abandons scientific thinking, that stops valuing evidence, that becomes comfortable with confident claims unsupported by data, is a society in danger, not just intellectually, but practically. A public that cannot distinguish good evidence from bad evidence is a public vulnerable to manipulation, to bad policy, to decisions made on the basis of fear and wishful thinking rather than careful investigation of what is actually true. He called science a candle in the dark. Not because science illuminates everything. There is still enormous darkness, enormous uncertainty, enormous amounts that we do not understand. But because science is the best method we have ever devised for pushing back that darkness honestly, slowly, carefully, admitting what we do not know rather than pretending we do. This too is a form of wonder, the wonder of standing at the edge of what is known and feeling, rather than fear, a kind of exhilaration. There is more to learn. There is always more to learn. The candle never illuminates everything, and that is not a failure. It is the nature of being a finite mind in an infinite universe. Each new discovery is not the end of mystery. It is an invitation into a slightly larger room with new walls and new doors that did not exist before you opened the last one. Sagan found this exhilarating rather than exhausting. He believed that a universe which could be fully understood in a single lifetime would be a smaller, sadder universe than the one we actually live in. The fact that there is always more, that no matter how much you learn, the universe remains larger than your understanding of it, was, to him, one of the most beautiful facts about existence.
Here is what I want you to take from this. Every time you learn something new about how the universe works, you are not losing something. You are not trading magic for mechanism. You are uncovering a magic that was always there, hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone curious enough and patient enough to find it. The rainbow was always more than a pretty arc of color. It was always a window into the hidden structure of light. You simply did not know how to see it yet. The breath you just took was always an act of staggering biological complexity. You were simply unaware of the trillions of processes that made it possible. The night sky was always a record of deep time, a field of ancient light from suns that may no longer exist, traveling for years or millennia to reach your eye at this exact moment. You were simply looking at it without knowing what you were seeing. Science does not strip the world of its wonder. It is the only method human beings have ever discovered for finding wonder that was real, that was true, that would still be there even if no one ever noticed it, rather than wonder we invented because the alternative felt too uncertain to bear. Carl Sagan spent his life trying to give people this gift. Not the gift of answers, but the gift of seeing that the universe, understood honestly and carefully and patiently, is more astonishing than anything we could have made up to replace it. The choice has never been between wonder and knowledge. It has always been between a small wonder built on stories that cannot survive close examination and a vast wonder built on a universe that rewards every question with 10 more, that gets stranger and more beautiful the closer you look, and that never in all of human history has run out of ways to surprise us. Look at the world today with the eyes of someone who wants to actually see it. Not the comforting version, not the simplified version, the real one. It is waiting for you. It has always been waiting for you. And it is so much stranger and so much more beautiful than you have been told.